and welcome to Creative Vitality Jam Sessions. Here we have intimate conversations with extraordinary dance and theater artists about reimagining creativity and supporting and building community. CVJS and I walk as allies and in solidarity for equality, justice, and respect. Black Lives Matter. Please stop Asian hate. Let's unite. Let's unite. We can do this. And let's celebrate women. I'm Helen Pickett, and today's guest is Camilla Spidsøe. She is a principal freelance artist, and we have known each other since 2004. I am so happy to have Camilla on the show. Hello.
Hi, Helen and everyone.
I'm so happy to see you here. And I have to say it, fellow crab sister. I just have to put it out there.
Yes, absolutely. There's nothing to hide.
And I also really had so many thoughts about Lovi. How is she doing, your gorgeous girl?
She's been really, really well until now. And in these 48 hours, we are a bit worried that she have got the virus, actually COVID. Oh. So schools in Norway are not good at the moment in Oslo. So she was in school last week, of course, and suddenly she's not well. So she's with her father, and we're waiting for a test result.
Okay.
Except from that, she's a fantastic, glowing child, full of energy and dance ability and generosity and deep thoughts, big brown eyes, ready to live.
Yeah, I met her so long ago.
Yeah.
And she was like this bright twinkling little star, and she was such a mixture of you and Yaniv. It was so beautiful. And to see her grow through these pictures, I'm really sending good healing thoughts for her. She'll probably throw off if it is the virus, and maybe it's not. Maybe not. Kids are so resilient. So putting it out there. Oh my gosh. So Camilla, my gosh, it's been so long. This is one of the big joys of these conversations. I get to see people I love from very far away. And, I'm so grateful for that. So first of all, first question, yes. Where in the world are you?
I am in Oslo.
Oslo,
Norway. And I have been based in Oslo now since 2013. And it seems like I will be based here from now on.
It's a beautiful city. It's a really beautiful city to be a part of. It's a great community. I was there, as you know, so many years teaching, and I always enjoyed my time there. I saw my first Northern Lights. I didn't even know. I just realized that a few years ago. Because it's been a bucket list. I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights. And I looked back and I realized I had no idea that there was one day, because I went in deep winter, to see you guys with snow up to my eyeballs. And I saw these green lights in the sky. And now I know that was the Northern Lights.
Yeah. And you were lucky because they don't come all the time. Yeah, it's quite, it's not rare, but it's kind of random.
Yeah, because it's low. It's too low. You have to go further up in Norway, right? Yeah. All right, my love, Camilla. I want to start with your very recent retirement from the Norwegian National Ballet, where you were principal dancer and the first principal appointed contemporary dancer of the company. For those of you that don't know, Norwegian National Ballet is probably the first, not only functioning, but it's actually quite successful ballet and contemporary under one roof, operating as one company, but they're but still in a separate way. So congratulations on your beautiful and diverse career, Camilla. It's amazing. I mean, we're only at the beginning of the next part, and we'll get to that later. But this is also your second time at NNB. Your journey started in 1997 when it was only a classical company. Then from 2003 to 2013, you danced with Carte Blanche Company, contemporary company, where we met. And then you returned to the new NNB, and with this idea in hand. So I explained a bit, but can you talk a bit about this formation and what it gave you, what it gave the company, what it gave to Oslo and the country? And then I have the other questions, and we'll go into that later.
Yeah, you mean my journey from one thing to the other, or more about the company now, the new way they work?
Yeah, I have the questions about your journey. Like, for example, the next question is, what made you go to Carte Blanche? But maybe speak a little bit about what this new company with these two different ideas, but under one house. Maybe speak a bit to that.
Yeah, it's still actually one company. It's NNB. It's just been expanding a little bit. I think it's been expanding now over the years, and we have now 70 dancers plus a youth company. And we used to be smaller before. And basically, we're still not divided into two companies. It's one company. But what she did was, when Ingrid Lorentzen came as a director, she wanted to improve the creations in the house. Because basically, I think that the Norwegian National Ballet, they were always a good company. They did the classics, and they did Killian, and they did the soft contemporary works. But what was difficult for them was the new productions and the signature pieces. So before her, Johannes in Sweden, for Royal Swedish Ballet, he did a big change of actually combining the company into classical and modern, a little bit more clear than what she did. When they started to work with Mats Ek again and everything, he did that quite clearly. He hired a big group of contemporary dancers, whilst Ingrid did just invite me and one or two more.
Okay.
So basically it was me and two other male dancers that were invited to come back, and especially to help improve the new pieces that was made for us. She asked me when she was applying for the position, she asked me, Camilla, what do we need to do to get better at creating here? And I said, you need dancers who can create. You need dancers who are able to go in with the choreographer, go into the mind of the choreographer and make it happen in a way, because that's how it is today. As we know, we don't create anymore by being given everything like this. We are sharing and putting out thoughts and intuition with the choreographer for the creation to happen. So I strongly advised her to think about that and to have dancers with different capacities. Because if you have dancers that come straight from Royal Ballet School and into the company, you can't expect them to create signature pieces that has connected to Norwegian history, like Henrik Ibsen and etc. So by me saying that, she said to me, if I get the job, I want you to come back. And I was like, yeah, of course, I'm coming. And you will get the job. I knew it. I had a feeling she will get the job. And of course, my mind had already been inspired by Johannes in Sweden, who was directing in Sweden. I had already seen what he was up to. And deep inside, I started to miss Oslo, and I saw the new opera house glooming on the fjord. And I thought, oh, I miss the big stages. I've been a lot on the contemporary smaller stages then for 10 years, and I was missing the big house.
Yeah.
And when the spirit of Ingrid was to create new pieces that was gonna improve the company, I was definitely saw it as a timing that was magic to do so.
Amazing. So thank you, because that clarification, I didn't know about Johannes. It's really great. So what made you want to go to Carte Blanche? Because you were in the classical company, you know, what made you want to go?
I wanted to go because my inner feelings told me that I want to be personal when I dance. I want to have my own signature in my movement. And I felt that my power was more in that direction. In the company as a young dancer, I started as an apprentice, like everyone does, straight from school. And of course, you've been thrown into the Carte Ballet and then you do all that. And I did have the dream of doing Juliet and Giselle and all the big classics. But I did not, I don't want to sound wrong here, but I did not dream of the flower walls and the standing in line as 24 swans.
Neither did I.
No, I wanted, and I stood there in the Carte Ballet, obviously, like all the other young dancers have to. And I stood there and I felt trapped. I felt, oh, I'm standing here. The music is incredible. And the principals are dancing and feeling and showing their inner soul. And I'm like, and I'm here stuck in the line in the way. And I wanted to move. I wanted to express. So after a couple of years in the company where I understood that my talent in the classics was very good, but they didn't put me there early enough for me to have the patience to wait. So in the end, I said, what do I do now? Do I wait one more season or two to see if I get to do the classic that I want? Because for me, it was almost like Juliet or nothing with the classics. I have to die on stage. I have to cry on stage. I have to run around and be desperate on stage. I couldn't sit there and wait for that. So then I got invited to Carte Blanche, and I thought maybe that's what I just have to do. The director told me, Camilla, just so you know, in Carte Blanche, we improvise all the productions. We have choreographers coming in, but they all work in the updated way the dancers have to produce. That's the way it happens now. And I said,
and let's just name the director, Arne
Fagerholt.
There we go.
Yes. And the interesting thing is that both Arne Fagerholt, Ingrid Lorentzen, and me come from the same city in Norway, Trondheim.
No.
Yes, under the same teacher we had, and it was a fire soul in Norway that took care of us. And we all made it to principal dancers in Oslo, in the opera house, and it's quite unique in a country like Norway, from a small city like that. So when he asked me to come and told me about the improvisations, that was the only thing that made me think, oh, I'm not sure I'm going. I can't improvise. I've never improvised. That I can't do. I can do any style, but I can't improvise and make the movement myself, I thought. But then I said to myself, you know what? Let's try it for a year and see what happens. So I went and I was thrown into workshops like the Foresight system, and I was scared, but I found myself 100% there and let go. And I said, this is it. This is home for me. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. And I have to tell you that, you know, meeting you in 2004, because I went to Carte Blanche before I went to Oslo. Arne invited me first.
Yeah.
And I remember those private times in the studio with you where you were really trying to wrangle and figure out what you needed to do to find this confidence in a way, to be in yourself. And the big thing for you was making the choices. Like you needed to have the confidence to know that it was absolutely in your ability to make choices. And I think that, you know, it was so exciting for me to see that happening in you. Remember that improv jam we had in the nightclub?
Yes. that's when it all happened, kind of, that's when it all let itself loose, really. Because we had a week with you workshopping, and it is interesting when you say 2004, because I had already been there for a year.
Yes.
And are you sure it was 2004? Yeah. And not
2004. Well, I'm not sure, but I have it. I checked my bio and it said Carte Blanche 2004 for this many years. So, but maybe I was there in 2003. Who knows?
It might be, because I remember that for me, when I came into that company, I saw that they had been improvising for 10 years. I had been doing the classics for 6 years, but they had been improvising and doing creations for 10 years. And I saw how they, of course, they felt free and everything, and they just did it. At the same time, as an outside eye, I could see that they also struggled. Clearly, because when we are in a situation where we create, in the end, you can feel, you start to analyze yourself more and more with the time, and you can get those, oh my God, what now? What am I doing now? And I could see that I had my issues from my side and they had theirs. Yeah. And then I decided to not try to, of course, to be like them. And that is what I have done the rest of my career. And I tell all my students, never try to be someone else. It's like, be inspired by, but never try to copy someone. So I said to myself, no, I'm not going to copy their improvs. I'm going to go in as I am. And then in the end, I found quite an immediate freedom with that. I think that was, if I had thought differently, it would have been more difficult.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean,
so yeah.
Gorgeous. Yeah, absolutely. It is about finding the strength in yourself. And when a human being does that, and very often, there's some outside help, but in the end, it has to come from the person, right?
Yeah.
And it did. And I saw that, and you're a glorious, you're a glorious performer. I had a question recently on an interview. What makes you excited when I see a performance? And I said, I didn't have to think long. I thought, well, it's when the performer is engaged, when the performer is dropped into themselves and so present that in that presence, you're giving the audience presence. You're making us feel like it's the proprioception. We're feeling you. And that truly for me is the pretty much only performer I get really excited about. I mean, everything else comes afterward. The technique, the high legs, the beautiful feet. It's all pretty, but it's when a performer is so dropped into their present that the audience, that I must look at you. That is truly, that's a gift. That's truly, that's an artist. That's what I think. That's my humble opinion. Anyhow.
I'm the same as you. Totally.
Yeah, but that's who you are. When I watch you, that's what I am drawn to. And the thing is, you play many characters and you love characters, but it's not that you're painting the character on. It's kind of like you eat the character, and it's Camilla and the character mixed up and being given out. It's beautiful.
It's as if I never play a part. I feel I try to, even if I'm telling an old story, I'm putting myself in that story. It's as if I go back in time and I experience what this person experienced. And that is if I do narrative and storytelling, right? But if it's more abstract, then it's about the sensation that we have in this moment. And I usually say that if I perform on a big stage from far or a close, intimate stage, for me, it's almost the same approach. I don't change very much. I'm intimate from far, and I'm intimate from close.
Exactly. It's the intimacy, and that's what all human beings. Well, I have to be careful with the word all. That's the human beings I've come in contact with in this profession. That's really what they are also searching for, intimacy, communication with someone else. So this is kind of going into the next question. You have danced so many roles and received many awards. Now, just be patient. I'm going to do a list. You received the Norwegian Critics Award. Tell me if I'm pronouncing this right, CVJS honor? CVJS award?
Yeah, also CVJS, yes.
Also CVJS honor award.
Yes.
The Tom Wilhelmsen Opera and Ballet Award, the first prize as a dancer in the Hanover Choreography Award, the Burgos, Spain first prize and Dance Solution Copenhagen first prize award. As a matter of fact, you're the most award-winning performer dancer in Norway. You mentioned that you had a wonderful chance to create and dance 4 Henrik Ibsen roles for which you received in 2014 the Dancer of the Year in Dance Europe for your role in Ghosts. What roles really shifted the way you approach your art? And what, in the same thing, you can wrap this up, what roles were the most challenging, but ended up teaching you the most? And then I'll do the other questions.
Yes, it's been, I would say that the roles that I have created in the last years as a principal in the Norwegian National Ballet started for me in Carte Blanche, because what happens then is that I did a lot of fantasy in my own mind. For example, often in contemporary pieces, there is no story. There is no direct story. There is an emotion and a clear dynamic and a clear feeling, but we don't say what's happening. So it's a bit more open, and you can feel drama and emotion, but without the logic answers to those. I didn't mind that. I don't mind that. I just went in with the feel, with the music, with a colleague, with a partner, with myself, you know, and filled with emotion in that space, no matter what. But then I started to feel that sometimes I put so much personal story in all of that, that I felt, I wish one day, also as a contemporary dancer, I get the chance to dance like Juliet dances her classic. I want to say similar journey of a person, not only a cool duet, but I wanted a journey of a person, life stories. So when I came to the opera house and I had the chance to work, for example, with Ibsen as the manuscript of Ghost, and the manuscript of Hedda Gabler and Rebecca West and a few others, and the woman from the sea, the lady from the sea. And then I thought, this is what I now dream of, because now I have built up to this. I have lived. I have a long experience as a woman. I have now a child. I have gone through a shock of a birth. I have danced for so many years. My body and mind is more free and filled up than ever before. And I was so happy to have the opportunity to, as a contemporary dancer, go into a story ballets kind of, and to be able to stay on stage for an hour and a half without leaving and tell a journey of a person instead of going in and out and doing cool solos. So I felt that when I came back to that, I could do everything I had built up, I could put in and let it out. So I would say that, I usually say that I live as I dance and I dance as I live. Basically, I don't separate private life from my work. It's all fusioned and it's all together. So anything that has happened in my private life, I take it out in my body and soul on stage, and in my creating moments with the choreographer, in improvisation moments where they film me and everything. Basically, I feel that I am extremely present with the people I am with. If it's the audience or if it's the choreographer or if it's the colleagues, I am extremely there, and I don't think about tomorrow. I'm basically only in the moment, and I experience the same role every night, but from each night.
Was there a particular role that was like a really, let's say, challenging journey that brought you to even more understanding of the present and who you are?
I think that when I did the Ibsen roles, I have been working a lot in my zone, meaning I had my physicality and my drama that is natural to me 100%. And then I started to dream about adding another surprising element. For example, when people ask me, why did I leave the Carte Blanche? Why did I come back to the ballet? Many reasons for that, but I also like to surprise myself and the audience and what is expected of me. So by coming back to the classical, there was not expected of me to put pointers back on. That was not the deal. But my feet look good in them. And I did enjoy them. And then after 10 years away with sneakers and bare feet and socks, I said to the shoe department, give me a pair of my size, please. Give them to me. And I had this fantasy always, actually for many years, I had a fantasy of doing a contemporary Dying Swan. I thought, why is it only those ballerinas who does this 3 minutes choreography of bourrées and arms? Why is it like that? And then I look at Pavlova and I see how electric she was and how she's like falling apart and shivering in her whole body. And I said, wow, 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 she is contemporary. So I started to feel, I want to do that. I need to do a Dying Swan. Then the choreographer, Daniel Prieto, offered to Ingrid that he will create it on me. So the most challenging is when I'm coming in with my tutu and bare feet, thinking the Mats Ek style, Daniel goes, no, we're going to bring your pointers back on. And I said, really? Really? And it took only 2 minutes to convince me. I said, yeah, of course, let's do it. Put them back on, improvised, and did movements that the ballerinas who does the classics couldn't do, of course, because I'm rolling much more on the feet, more like the Forsyth dancers are used to. Basically, I had to work myself up on point in 6 weeks. Big challenge. So if you ask me about what is the most challenging, it was to combine my now contemporary style together back into the point work that had to be strong, even though I worked with them in a different way, and build a stamina for wearing them for 13 minutes alone on stage.
Yeah, whole different muscle control, right?
Exactly. And then not long after that, you know, when you get a little piece of something, you want more. So then I had a new dream, and that was to dance Step Text by Forsyth. And I did get the chance.
Oh, you did?
I did, yes.
It's one of the hardest ballets I ever did. Even though it's like only 20 minutes, it killed me physically.
It is a killer. I ruined myself forever. I'm injured forever after that. But I'm still thankful. I ruined my hip. I totally ripped my labrum and I almost broke bones in there, everything. But I'm so happy I did it.
Did you do it with Norwegian National?
Yes, yes. Yeah. Wow. And so that came after the Swan. And then I remember getting this, you know, when you get this, you just want to push the borders and push the borders. And one thing is then to do my own improv as the Swan was, because it was made on my body. Step Text is made on other bodies and more, of course, stronger in their point technique than what I was at that point. But I just saw that piece and I thought about you, Helen, and others, and I thought, oh, I wish I could do that, what they did. It makes sense because I met them and now I could maybe, and they wanted me to do that. And I had basically, I think, a month to prepare for that. And I have to say that is the hardest thing I've ever done.
It's weird, right? You think about the full length. I think about the full lengths that I did with Bill. I think about the stamina it took to do 4 acts with Bill, like Artifact and Limbs Theorem and you know, Loss of Small Detail and Czar, when I would do the speaking role and in the middle and all. And then I think of Step Text, and that was literally where I lost my noodles. It was like,
yeah.
You know, you lose yourself in this part.
Completely. Yeah.
The men, especially Alan Barnes, but I had wonderful men, Anders Abale, Anders Hellstrom, you know, Andre Megarezi, Mark Spradling. I did with all these men. I would literally, they'd be talking to me at a certain point because I was not able even to focus anymore. It's kind of 3/4 of the way through. And it's this part where you're supposed to be completely lost anyhow, but you just want your feet to point.
Yes. Oh my.
Yeah, well, I'm so happy you got to experience that. It's a really incredible role. It really is. So you have this very long relationship with Ina Kristel Johannessen, who I love. And of course, Daniel, whom I also know and love. And so several other Norwegian choreographers. And I know you love collaborating and being in process. So there's a few questions. What choreographers gave you the most freedom to develop in new roles? What roles would you still like to dance? And how have these long-term relationships, you know, how have they also shifted your views on art making? I can repeat the questions if you need.
Yeah. To start with, who gave me the most freedom? I actually do think that all of them did. All of them, because they wanted what I could give them, and I wanted what they could give me, and it was actually fully harmonic meetings between all of those creators that I've been with, and those that I have been the most with, like you mentioned them already. They have, I mean, I felt like it was like an unlimited pool of the next and the next and the next opportunity to continue making solos and stories, short and long. And basically, I develop, of course, with them, and they develop with me. So I feel, so about the freedom, that part of the question, I would say that I feel really lucky, because I think we just had it.
Right.
We really just had it. They are very, Ina, for example, she's very specific with what she wants, but we are just in one. I do what she dreams of, and she gives me what I dream of. If I have a fantasy about something I want to do, I don't even have to say it. Yeah. She kind of puts the right music and the right concept of the piece that makes me think, oh, but that was that fantasy I had a few years ago. Now I can actually do it. And it's amazing that. And with Daniel, it's been more about the Dying Swan, that actually I suggested that I want to do such a solo. And he said, Camilla, if you want to do that, can I please make it for you? So then sometimes the idea comes from me, and most of the time it can come from them, which also makes it very feeling of freedom, because it's very mature level work.
Yeah. So have these long-term relationships, so with these long-term relationships, I know there's a level of trust, and I have felt that also with dancers that I've worked with. For example, some dancers in Boston Ballet that I've worked with now for 16 years off and on. I would have that trust with you because we have this long history already, and we understood each other from the very beginning, also as human beings. But has that long-term, how has that long-term relationship with many of your choreographers that you work with, how is that symbiosis, has that changed something in you as far as performance?
Yeah, I feel that by working in creations, our own capacity grows all the time, because we have so much responsibility. So when a choreographer, most of the time they will be filming my improvisations, and I will have to learn myself back. And I'm doing an improvisation based on their task to me. And I feel that over the time, of course, they trust me that I will actually quite soon do what they wish I will do. But it's also a full trust on how much time I spend to learn it back, and how I approach the process by learning it back, because they know that by the end, I will have it. So there is a nice balance in that, of course, as well.
And are there roles that you would still like to dance?
Yes, there are. There are. I would love to do more Ibsen. When once you've done one role, I think it's the same for many actresses. When you've done Hedda Gabler, you just want to do them all. And I am a bit there now, I have to say, because it's powerful to dance these stories about life that in the end you notice that they haven't changed so much, the way people think and the way we live. And it can look like it has changed on the outside, but it hasn't. Our deep battles are very similar.
Absolutely.
And I love that. So I love the old stories that you can still see them so up to date. So one of my new dreams as a specific role is with Ina. Ina has suggested to me that she wished to create on me. And it's the woman named George Sand, the female writer that wanted to dress as a man and smoke cigars. And that was a scandal. Want to do that.
Awesome. When I hear you talk, it's a very good point. And I know this as well, but it's so good to bring up again. The outside changes, but the inner life of the human being, we do go through. We go through death, we go through birth, we go through losing friends, we go through gaining friends, we go through everything. And it's so true to remember that the core is something that is found in a very human place. The outside can change, and that makes it feel like a new human story. Yeah. So true, Camilla. We have to go now to this because it's so exciting. I'm really excited about your new venture. You have a thriving freelance dance, modeling, teaching, and mentoring career. But you mentioned something that's very exciting. You have a big mission to create a new company for mature dancers over 40. The title is great, Stage Left Dance Theater. I love the play on words. Please, can you speak more about this incredible endeavor? Explain your title, please. And yes, and yes, I will come and create any moment you ask me to. Yes. And we've never had the chance, so it's really...
It has to happen now.
But you know what's wonderful? It's wonderful that we put an intention into the air, and that's the funny thing about time. You know, you get sometimes wrapped up in the time idea. Oh, it's not happened, so it's not going to happen. But look, it will happen. So let's go back to those questions. Tell us about Stage Left Dance Theater and explain the title.
Yes, I will do. First, about Stage Left. Since you mentioned in the beginning, I just retired from the opera as a principal dancer at 43. Normally it's at 41. So I kind of pushed the borders a bit. Thank God for that, because I still have so much energy to dance. So I didn't want to stop. Honestly, I wouldn't still want to stop. But the system is very rigid. It's like this. I'm supposed to stop already 2 years before. So it's kind of a heavy system in the opera houses. The retirement age is just there. And then the dream of Stage Left is basically inspired by the NDT3 concept. When I was 16 years old and dancing in the art academy here, I remember one of my teachers showed me a clip of NDT3. And I'm only 16 years old. And she showed me this clip, and she told me, Camilla, they are over 40 years old. And I said, wow, they are incredible. They are so physical and they're so expressive and they are amazing. And I said to her, I wish that when I'm 40, I will be like that. And I remember this feeling so strongly. And suddenly I'm 40 myself.
Suddenly, and there is it happens so fast.
Time goes like this.
I know.
And I'm 40, and the T3 is not there anymore. There is a few other groups. There is Age on Stage in Stockholm. There is Dance On in Berlin. And we have, of course, Tanztheater Wuppertal, Pilates, that the age range is fabulous on stage. And when I'm sitting there watching them live, I'm thinking, I want to have the opportunity for myself and some of my colleagues to continue growing on stage and to develop our talent from where we are now at 43 and up. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. We have all this experience, and to be cut when you are just so ready to tell the real stories, that makes me so upset. So I'm trying now, of course, I'm in the process I'm doing this with a colleague of mine, and we are in the process of soon putting in applications for budgets. I mean, the concept is clear. We want a small company to begin with and to have a bigger pool of artists that can be more later on. Basically, I want to make a platform for myself and some of my colleagues to continue growing after that typical retirement age. Interesting enough, the timing is, because as a freelance dancer, there is no age limit. We could continue. But in Norway, sadly, the Art Council has cut the foundings of the most experienced choreographers we have, including Ina, Kristil Johannessen, and Jos Rangren, and all the bigger names that we have. They have gone out of the system because now, after so many years, they want to go for the younger generation.
Oh.
And this is a scandal, and it's coming at the same time as we are retiring. And then I put it out there that basically we have a pandemic, COVID, that takes all the freelancing off. We have retired, some of us, in this time. I retired while the COVID is on the peak. And the choreographers that I have worked with next to the company work, I have always worked parallel in the freelance scene. It's those people who have the international names in Norway, and and who have a career as long or longer than my own. Those are the people.
Sorry, I have to cut you off. It's so, there are some rules. You know, before you said that, I was going to say, oh my God, it's so great because Oslo is so great with supporting the arts. But then there are some rules there. There's also like these 7-year limits, like for director. There are rules I don't understand. I can understand from a social concept to give new people choices, but it doesn't mean you cut out.
No, that's the problem in Norway.
And I mean, Camilla, you're like a star in this country. In fact, Ina, I mean, what? It doesn't make sense.
No.
It is a scandal.
So it is a scandal, and it's a double drama, and triple drama in a way, that we have some of us that are still in top shape retiring, and we don't have an opening to continue because the company doesn't have space for that. Then we have the choreographers. And when I'm talking about what would I do as a freelancer now, if I'm in Norway or internationally, I will work with people like you, Helen, and people like Ina, and people with the experience. I don't jump into a workshop with new, freshly educated master students who are very much into concept art. I'm not there. I want to continue where I am and be inspired by someone in my own zone, and more than me, not less than me. And it's not to be, you know, I'm humble to every stage of career, but I do believe that they put so much money into young talents to be pushed forward. And in Norway, it's a big thing to support in all the province as well, to support the young talents. Young talents, make them opportunities. But then what? Then there is no more opportunities for them. And I wish that to create a company like this, we don't have it in Norway, it could give also hope to the young generation, you know, to see that the career doesn't have to stop at 40. Look at them. Look at them. They are 45 now. They are soon 50. And here we are.
Camilla, you know, I just thought of something. Is Norway, is it a country that responds to like an international letter? Is it a country that will respond to, let's say, 100 signatures from people around the world saying,
maybe,
you know, maybe you should do this?
Maybe I would sign. Idea. Yeah, that's an interesting idea, because the truth is that
I know many people would sign.
Because Norway is a young nation when it comes to art. You know, it's a fabulous, because it's a rich country, and they have been put a lot of money into new buildings, art houses and everything, but it's new houses, but with the other mentality. So we still need to develop the depth of it. Yeah. So there is a long way to go. There is a very positive vibe around this, what I'm putting out. And I do have a stomach feeling telling me that it could go really well. And my dream is to have, as a first production, is to have the dream role I just mentioned to you, the woman named George, as the opening production. And actually, the choreographer Ina has a great idea that at some point in the piece, there will be a full stage of all the retired dancers and all the big names in the dance scene in Norway, and maybe internationally too, on stage, putting out like a full force of what it could be, what stage left could be. We could be as big as that. We start here, but we want to expand. We want to expand.
A beautiful idea.
It is. Now I'm going to go to the name, since you said I should explain the name. It's not easy to find the name. We were digging our brains so much to find the name. And I thought, what? It's a new era. It's a new era of dance. It's a new era in my career. Maybe Era Dance Company. No. So we worked. And then stage left. It's kind of three different things. It can mean exit and entrance. Did she leave the stage? Has she left? Did she leave the stage? Coming back to stage, a new stage in life. And also, it's basically stage left. It's like stage right, left. And in the opera house, where we will be using the second stage, it's also the stage left in that house. Then the dance theater comes in, and I was thinking, should we have it or not? But dance theater for me is a very international summing up what we are. and for example in Repetiteur and in NDT, the Netherlands Dance Theatre, and I thought, you know what, it's a union.
Exactly.
So I like that. I love this. It's a union around the world.
It's a community of people. It's a community. Yeah.
That's the explanation.
I also have a good feeling. I think it's going to happen sooner than later. I really do. Yeah. Wow, it's so exciting. Camilla, you've enjoyed so many avenues, becoming a mother, modeling, film, theater, and the art world. You have already had so many life's reimaginings. What outside endeavors have taught you the most? And what influences? Well, actually, it's kind of the same question. So just the one question. What outside of dance endeavors, like influences, taught you the most?
I have to say that I thought about that question when I read it in advance, and I thought it's connection with people, and it's sensing the humans and animals that passes you on the road, and it's basically conversations, meetings that can mark your soul forever, like the meeting I had with you, Helen, for example. You know, it's the truth is that I have always had you in me since. When I dance, you know how often you pass me? A lot. And those things, it can be also then the moon in the full moon in Greece. It can be a conversation on the beach with a poet from Athens that I never met before. It can be my closest friends. It can be the discovery of people who have treated me bad. I have learned from that. I'm not bitter about it. I learned from it. When I was a young girl in school as a teenager, I was bullied very badly. And journalists sometimes ask me, are you bitter? You must be bitter. And I say, no, I learned from it. I learned about people. So for me, I think the connection with people always comes back to me. Eye contact, situations, all of this, if I'm going to say what colors me the most outside of dance, it's that. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I think that's also why you're the performer and the human being you are. I have a similar thing. I need to experience humanity. It's one of the greatest sources of inspiration for me, and the connecting. And it's funny, Camilla, you're also so near to me, even though we haven't seen each other in so long. It's funny how often you come up in my thoughts as well, and in my heart. That's kind of beautiful. So here we are at the 3 questions I ask every guest. You have already shared so much. You have a multitude of favorite memories, but is there one now that comes up spontaneously, a favorite memory you can share from your creative life?
Wow, yeah, it's difficult because I feel like there've been so many.
I know.
But I have to say that when the door opened up, I think towards the narratives and the story ballets that I could do, I think that it felt for me like I was arriving to somewhere that I was always supposed to arrive to. And I remember standing on the bridge by the opera house, and it was dark clouds and heavy rain. And I had not been sleeping, and I was breastfeeding my daughter the whole night, and I was in such a state. And I was thinking through the Ibsen role, the first one that I was ever going to do. And I stood on that bridge, and I remember thinking, oh God, this is it. It's so powerful. I remember thinking, I don't care, I didn't sleep. I don't care. I'm so full of energy still. And I just let the water go down on me. And I remember it took myself into the studio and went into that dark story that I had to tell in my dance. And yeah, that is a strong memory for me. Beautiful. That is a very strong memory.
So nature actually influenced that memory. You let the nature take over.
Yeah, nature can often influence me. And I am not a winter person, and I live in a winter country, which is difficult.
I know you're not a winter person.
I suffer a lot with winter, and I don't like darkness.
Yeah.
I like sun and white sand and warm sea. So I that's why I often in the nature here I feel troubled. I feel ambivalent, and I can feel, and then I can take that energy probably out in work,
Yeah.
you know, like, because the only meaningful thing I do here in Norway is to dance and to be with my child. Anything else I wouldn't want to be here for. I would be somewhere else on this earth. So, and
Well,
that
it's
has
still my
actually,
cup.
yeah.
So you've shared many insights, but can you share something about living a creative life? You know, something perhaps that, you know, that you could give to the people who are listening, like what an important insight about you living this life.
I have two things that come strongest to my mind, and that own signature as a mover and as a performer and as a human as well. Be yourself and let yourself bloom out in every sense. That means like not to try to copy anyone else, rather be inspired and then see what that does to you. Never try to be someone else, because that will be a very unhappy life. And as dancers, where we often look at something and look at yourself in the mirror, and then you try to copy something or copying an Instagram post that impressed you, I will just say, go much deeper and go from inside out. Totally to find your own way of moving, even though we all have the same recipe in the bottom as the technique is. But that technique is just a base. So I feel that this is a never-ending story. For example, when I teach now even professional classes, I say to them, don't forget why we are here, because we are in this professional class because we want to be here. And we actually love what we do. Yeah. So don't go on autopilot, for example. I just remind them with a friendly reminder. I tell them, it's actually ecstatic, isn't it? When we're on stage and when we go deep into a creation, it's ecstatic. We feel it's everywhere. We feel it in the skin. So why not do that also in the daily life? That is for me actually one of the messages about how to live a creative life. It's in a way to take everything that happens to us in, take it in. Another thing is that really is strong in me, and sadly is not good enough in the scene we work in, is loyalty.
Yes.
Loyalty is not happening always, is it, in our business? You know, we can work for choreographers, give them everything, and suddenly they can step back on you and drive over you with a truck. Directors can do the same. Even if you're the star and the principal 1 month, you can suddenly be pushed down the other month. And it's very hard. And I have to say that even if I've had all this amazing career that we have been talking about now, and we see all the positive sides to what I have done, I have been treated really badly many times. And I have to say that those things shouldn't happen, not to me and not to anybody. Dancers give everything. Choreographers also gives everything, but there is a lot of vulnerability in it. And to please respect, I would say, us performers, please respect your choreographers deeply. They have made something on you, but the choreographer also to respect the performer. We have given them all this. So it's a fusion, and sometimes I miss loyalty 100%.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, Camilla, hearing you say that. It's the first time that has come up in 71 sessions. And it's funny because I've also, you know, it was a big part of family life, loyalty. It's a big part of what I feel too. But I've really started shifting my ideas of loyalty and how to show and be with loyalty. And for me, it comes down to communication. Because sometimes directors and choreographers and people in power have to make hard decisions. But it stops being loyal when you stop communicating. For example, if I had to tell you, Camilla, that, you know, actually I have to give a chance to Susie over here, and you're not going to do this role this time. It's still going to hurt. But if I talk to you, like the air is there, then it opens a conversation and you might say, but why can't we both do the role? And then I have to say, well, because this time I have to do it, give it to her. It's still going to hurt. It's still going to be something that feels unfair. But if the communication is there, there is a kind of clarity. And it's also saying, I value you.
Absolutely.
Spread the wealth. And I think, you know, this happens to all of us. And I have to say, just because you're in a position of power doesn't always mean that you're a good communicator. And
no, not at all.
Very often. Directors and choreographers, because Camilla, let's be honest, it's not the easy route to communicate face to face with someone.
No.
But for me, it's a harder route to do the other way. And not because then I'm filled with guilt and trying to cover up. They don't know what's going on. So I think that this, like, being with loyalty, maybe it's because I also value it, just has to do with communication. And, you know, and I say it now to people, I'm like, this would have been avoided if we had talked. And I think it's important also to say that to people in the moment. And like, when you find out, why did that happen? Like, you actually take the initiative, even if you don't want to, call them or whatever and say, okay, you made this decision. I don't agree. But if you had talked to me, things I would have had to accept. It still, I might not have liked it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, of course, definitely communication and respect in the way we take care of each other, because it's a lot about taking care of each other. I mean, the artist will constantly give. You are an artist yourself at the same time as you are a creator, and you have been giving everything your whole life. I think, Helen, for example, as a dancer, you gave it all. As a teacher, you give it all. As a mentor, you give it all. As a choreographer as well, and so and now I'm still a performer, and I'm all constantly giving everything, and because of that we also achieve a lot, but we are also very vulnerable because of this, because I only believe in all in. I don't think that less than all in works, but that also puts me in a very vulnerable position, of course, because I put so much heart in everything that definitely bad news or bad behavior will not be easy, okay? But in the dance scene, there is a lot of miscommunication, like you say, and a negative way of putting out the truth.
Like going around.
Exactly. Yeah. And often also, and this I can say that in my career with creations, Ina has been the most loyal person when it comes to respecting her original cast. You know, when you create something, and especially in big companies, it's very easy to put 2 or 3 casts or understudies, and in the next round, everyone has to dance it, not only the original cast and everything. And that's okay, but it's also a sensitive situation because everything comes from the original cast.
That's right.
Yeah, and it has been situations where I have felt that sometimes that is just not sensitive enough, because as long as the person is not injured, not pregnant, or have expired the date by retiring and wanting to retire and not in shape anymore, etc., there shouldn't be so many reasons to replace people. I think the rumor says that Pina Bausch also has been extremely respectful to her artists about what they have created, meaning, and I do believe that that's why they are still there at age 70 and still performing her work, because she treated them with so much love and respect, because she also took so much from them. And all the people I create with have taken or gotten exactly the same out of me. And I would want, in many cases, even more humbleness towards what the artists have given.
You know, it's interesting because what you're talking about is ageism. And ageism is discrimination. And you're very right. You know, we do tend to throw away the people that have aged out exactly with what you're saying when they have the most to offer, because they've lived life.
And that's why I want to do stage left.
And that's why it will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen. I know it.
Like a friend of mine, an actor in the National Theatre said, he said to me, well, it makes all the sense. Younger dancers, of course, we are still expressive, but it's a lot about body. And he said, to be able to express life, you need to have lived. And he said, if a dancer at 40 plus and over 50 can maintain the physicality, that we can still talk with our bodies, we should kind of be on the top, not going down, but be on the top.
Yeah, and I'm going to take it a step further. You know, not all of those people in their 70s with in Pina's company and also with NDT3, they didn't all have full capacity anymore, but the capacity they had mixed with their experience, it was an illusion, and that's what art is. They made you believe, and that illusion that comes with maturity is so gratifying to watch. You know, it's like this amazing meal that you eat, that where you taste even more. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. So the last question.
Yes.
In supporting and building a more equal, a more equitable dance community, and I think maybe you just spoke about it.
Yeah, I think so, actually.
Don't cut out the people that don't cut out the older people.
Yeah, but be loyal to your colleagues, to your and also honestly, now I spoke about loyalty from others to me or to each other, but also be loyal to yourself. Really, like, to be honest with yourself. If you feel deeply wrong about something, something is most probably wrong. And honestly, it shouldn't be like this. It should be expressed. And there I go back to what you, Helen, said about communication. If we are good communicators, we can express that very nicely and clearly without hurting anybody if something feels wrong, as a dancer as well. So when in the last question that I had read it in advance, so I knew it was coming. And that is the thing. How can we make the dance scene better and more efficient? I believe in loyalty both ways, in every way, and also loyalty to ourselves, honesty, to be honest with ourselves and others, definitely. I believe in, even if we are not, it's difficult, I feel, for many people to be generous in the scene we work in. And I don't think we can expect like a overdone generosity. I think it's difficult for many. But what is generosity? It can be so little. It doesn't have to be a big flower bouquet. It can be, hi, how are you today? I saw you're working on that choreography. Good work. Even if you don't love the choreography or love the dancer, you can say good work. You know, there's so many things of supporting each other that I wish we could be better at, honestly. And I feel that I have been exposed a lot to being lonely in the success. I think many people experience that when you have it going well. Not so many people congratulate you when you get an award, but if you injure your hip and you can't walk for 3 months, then you have good friends.
It's so true. You really, it's really true. And the idea of generosity, you know, where I think I've talked a lot about this actually in these conversations. There's something called the scarcity, you know, complex, or the, you know, solo status that is very prevalent in the people of color. You know, they experience that so much here in America that there's, you know, it's like there's only one place for someone, so the weight of the world is on them. But it's similar with women. There's very few places for us. So that's one of my projects is, you know, getting, I just started it yesterday, of creating a female choreographers roundtable, and we'll meet twice a month and learn to support and build each other up and erase this idea that of the elbows, you know, that there's only enough for me. And the thing is, the only enough for me situation has been brought into being by the people that want to stay in power.
Yeah.
So very few places are created for people of color, for women, for all kinds of other groups. And one of my big goals is to just say, more space at the table. Let's have more women, more people of color. Let's have more voices from every community. You know, more voices. So this concept starts eroding. So we start, because we all know the best dance comes from collaboration of all the races, of all the ideologies. You know, take the caste system away. This creates the most rich environment. So, and generosity, and but not as far as like I give you from a top. It's the feeling of being with each other, and the space being given for each other, and that includes ageism.
Yeah,
we don't I feel sometimes these labels.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I feel that these big words like generosity, perfection, what is it really? You know, I always take them down to reality. Like I just said, to me, generosity can be something very small. It doesn't have to be, wow, you're the best dancer here. No, you don't have to tell me that. It is hard for you to tell me that. You don't have to say. You can just say hello even, you know. Generosity is just to see the other. And
Camilla, at the heart, it's fear. At the heart, it's fear of losing what you have, or fear, and that concept is also taught, unfortunately. There really is enough for everyone.
There is. Really? And I want to say in the end also, for example, in the world of dance and art, we are perfectionists. We really are. We work so hard to find that more, and it's fantastic. But in the end, for me, especially when I talk to students, because they are so occupied about this, I say, to me, what is perfect is when someone is constantly searching for their full potential there and then. And full potential is of where I am today is already, for me, it's perfect. That is it. You know, you can start a day like this, and then you build yourself, and then you have reached somewhere. I don't need something to be more perfect than that.
Exactly. Oh God, Camilla, I mean, you know what? We need to have more conversations. We're both busy.
We can talk forever.
Take the time. It's been such a beautiful conversation. I was so excited to speak with you today, and oh my gosh, it was so long overdue, blah, blah, blah. We know all that, but you and I know that even though we don't connect, we're together. So it's all good.
Absolutely.
I want viewers to find out more about you. Do you have a website or an Instagram or something where they can find out more about you?
I have my Instagram, definitely. And I usually post quite clearly my thoughts of work, actually, and dance, and pictures that I've done with art photographers and stage photos, mostly, much more than private ones. But I do actually a mix of my thoughts and my art out in pictures, but also in the words, the posts that I write.
So tell us what your Instagram is.
I mean, Camilla Spidsøe. I think if you search my full name, it actually comes up as a suggestion, but it's Camilla Spidsøe. Okay.
And are you also working on a website for stage?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm working towards a web page, both where I think it should, now it's difficult because I'm going into stage left, so it will be more about stage left probably. But I do have someone working on the web page also for me with my photo series and things. So it will be a mix probably. But I guess I will be posting all of those updates on Instagram as well.
Great. Okay.
Camilla Spidsøe.
So so everybody who's watching, you can also read a short biography from Camilla in the description page below this video. We have new guests every week. Our next interview is with Megan Williams, dancer, choreographer, educator, repetiteur. Now's my time for thanks. I want to thank Gracie Spina and Jenna, because I know you're there. Thank you so much. I want to thank our dance world. Thank you so much for all you've given me. And Camilla, my goodness, you're an amazing human being.
So are you, Helen. Thank you so much for doing this, what you do now, and invite us in. It's incredible. It's so needed right now and forever. This should only be the beginning.
Well, you know, that's what I'm looking for. Maybe it's not so many per month, but we'll definitely like 2 a month. I think I want to keep going because people need to know about the amazing artists that are out there. And it's just so joyful, you know.
You haven't changed. You haven't changed. You look the same. And with you, I have like the words that comes up first. It's your eyes, your shining eyes, our laughter and tears together. And like you say, we can not speak for 5 years and suddenly you're just in the depth of the conversation. And I think that that's how you are in the studio with your dancers, and that's how you are in the theaters you work in. And they have been so lucky to already work with you. And I wish you will come to Oslo soon to me and my stage left.
I'm there. I'm Camilla. Actually, I'm already there. You just don't know.
Yes, I know. We are already there.
Yes, we are already there. Exactly.
Totally. Yes.
I love you.
I love you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.